Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a sloppy sports and entertainment talk show that covers New York Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV shows, along with some life lessons and funny stories along the way. It's hosted by a giant mess. That's me, the Real Cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a former college quarterback and pitcher who went to a private research university known for producing doctors and lacrosse players, and I became neither. Instead, here I am. I'm a giant mess. On today's episode, I want to fill you in on what the hell's been going on. What's with this hiatus, Real Cinch? Where you been? What have you been up to? What's going on? Did you quit? You're a quitter, aren't you? No, I didn't quit. I'm not a quitter. I refuse to quit. But I will explain my absence. A lot going on. And I don't want to say it's been a crazy couple of weeks because it hasn't been that crazy. I've been busy. I had a funeral. I had a memorial service for my grandmother who passed, as I mentioned in one of the last episodes that I did. I did get to see her before she passed, the day before she passed, the night before she passed. And she's doing good things up there in the sky with some other people that I know. Taking care of people still. What are you doing? It's time to relax and rest, right? So we'll talk about that memorial service. We'll talk about my daughter's pre-K graduation, which apparently they have these 3-hour-long ceremonies now for graduating pre-kindergarten. What are we doing? We'll also talk about the wedding I went to in Charlottesville, Virginia, home of the Virginia Cavaliers. How did that go? Got to see a bunch of friends I haven't seen in a long time. What suit did I wear? Where did I sit? What did I eat? What did I drink? How did the night end? And we'll talk about it was a quick turnaround from that wedding to going to Block Island. I went to Block Island yet again for 4th of July week. First 2 days of the week, I had off, the 3rd and the 4th. The rest of the week, I had to work. And my goodness, I was on the struggle bus for those 3 days. And we're it's that time of year where Q2 has come to an end and everybody wants numbers. And I got to give them numbies. So that was kind of hectic, but also fun and relaxing. And then we'll finish it up with some thoughts about this summer camp that my daughter's going to. It's through the school that she goes to, that she graduated from. They have a summer camp. And so we'll wrap things up. And then we'll give you a little bit of a preview of my next trip. I'm doing a late night recording sesh right now. It's almost 10 p.m. Eastern. I gotta pack and fly with the little one down to South Carolina to visit family for the week. Again, I will be working. My God, having only 10 vacation days feels wrong. So maybe that will be part of my negotiations at the end of year evaluations. But without further ado, let us commence. So I'm going to lead things off by talking about the parent-teacher conference that I had to go to. This was about a week or so before my daughter's pre-K graduation. It's with her teacher, and there was a director type. I believe she was promoted recently, associate director. Very organized with it, professional woman. And then my daughter's teacher is, I plead the fifth. I reserve the right not to comment, mostly because I don't want this to get back to her. But I think she has self-proclaimed sensory issues where she, I when I do drop off my daughter and if the teacher's there when I pick up my daughter, is loud. And I think she's aware of how loud she is. And my ears, these old ears, can't handle it anymore. I've talked about how, when I go down to South Carolina and visit my family down there, one of my nephews, the older nephew, has volume issues as well. And when you can feel the eardrums or rap tap a tap tap beating like the little drummer boy at Christmas time, shit's loud. Decibel levels through the roof. So I think she's aware of that. Was she speaking loudly during this parent-teacher conference? No. So it began one-on-one, and then the other director lady came in towards the end. And I was going into this not, I told my mom about this. I was like, hey, I got a parent teacher conference coming up. She's like, well, she goes, I can't imagine what they would say negatively about her. It's got to be all positive from what I've seen, all the videos and the pics that you've shared and the times that I've talked to her on FaceTime. She seems very with it. She seems very intelligent. She seems like she's got her act together. She's extremely nice. Nothing but positive things from my mom, which I understand. A little bias going on there. So I'm going to this PTC thinking, all right, this should be a walk in the park. This should be 5 minutes maximum. It's me going in. Teacher says, she's amazing, because she doesn't know how to control or modulate the volume of her voice. And then we high five, and then I leave. And I'm like, yeah, I knew that. We all knew that. Well, I was kind of wrong. I go in, and it was supposed to last half an hour. It lasted like 45 minutes to an hour, I want to say. And it felt like, and this is an issue with me where I think maybe this happens with a lot of people where we only hear the negative. We don't really hear the positive. And so I that might've been the case here, but it was the meatiest of what they call a shit sandwich, right? So a shit sandwich is you start off with the good and you layer on all the bad, and then there's another slice of good. So the bread is good, and then the meat is the bad stuff. And this was piled high, stacked high, Arby's style. The meat, the bad meat in the middle. She starts off by saying, she's a good girl and we love her and she's a good girl. And I was like, okay, that's good, I think. And then launched into how she's overly affectionate. She doesn't play with the girls. She only plays with the boys, which apparently is a bit of an issue. I don't know. I guess. I mean, I can foresee that being an issue if she does in fact choose to be straight. It's a choice, right? No, you get what I'm getting at. If she, I'm already like astro projecting in the future and seeing her like going through boyfriends like crazy and like love triangles. And it's just, I gotta pull myself back out from the future and put myself back smack dab in the present. So I don't see there's a problem. The reading and the writing, I mean, I'm trying to read. I read to her every night before bedtime, and she's not a great reader, but she can look at words and then she can write the letters in the words. And for a long time, as I think I mentioned on a previous episode, she'll write a lot of the words backwards. So I was like, I thought she was dyslexic for a good week. And it's like, no, she's just looking at things differently. She's not used to the left to the right, and with more training, she'll get used to it. But I think she's made humongous strides from the beginning of the year when she couldn't really read or write to now where it's like, at least she's picking up on some stuff. So, there was just a laundry list of issues that I had to sit there and listen to. And I'm just like, overly affectionate. And it's like, well, you also have a kid in your class that just constantly punches kids in the face. So overly affectionate or punching kids in faces. I mean, I both have interesting career paths and trajectories. One could be like a UFC fighter and the other one could be, ugh. So in OnlyFans, top creator on OnlyFans. No, damn it. So yeah, it was a lot to ingest. And the teacher was, I feel like she was just on a freight train, like just on a roll of just like all the things that, my daughter does wrong or not up to snuff. And like, look at this and this and this and this and this and this. And it's just like, I'm glad you're bringing this to my attention, but I don't think I'm ringing any alarms just yet. And of course, when the associate director lady comes in, she's just like, she's a kid. She's 4, just reminding both me and the teacher, like, let's calm ourselves a little bit. Like, she's 4. Turns out she's also the only child of divorce in her class. So yeah, she's been going through some rough phases here. There are times where every time that it's what I call a transition day or transfer day, where it's like she's been with her mother and now I'm picking her up, or vice versa. It's brutal. It is just brutal because she gets very sad, cries out, and it's heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. And so I can only, and she has this little, I used to have a bunny, like the blanket bunny that you have with the bunny head but the blanket body. I had one of those growing up. She has one. I think it's a dog. It doesn't look like a bunny, but maybe it is a bunny. We call it Bunny. And that thing is so dirty because she refuses to let us to wash it and clean it. She has 2 of them now, one for each house, because that's how things roll now. She's got 2 of everything, 2 Christmases. So, I can see her just like nervously, anxiously rubbing the piss out of this bunny's arm and constantly like sniffing it and putting it up to her face. And she just feels like she's a nervous wreck. And of course, her mom wants to enlist a pediatric therapist. And I'm just like, can we not? This is the same woman, my ex, who suggested that I get my own therapist, she get her own therapist, and then we get a third therapist to jointly talk to us about our marriage. It's like, we're going to pay $1,000 a month for therapy? I don't know that I can really get behind that. So I'm not a big fan of the pediatric therapist, but I will say this is taking a toll on her. And it's crazy because, we were, her mother and father, me and the ex, were together, physically together for 2 years of her life, almost 3. Because I guess it was 3 because it was her birthday, 3rd birthday. And then like 2 months later, we were physically separated. So we're talking about 3 and some change where the mother and the father were together. But she has this memory, dude. It's an insane memory. It's like, she'll ask me a question, I'll answer it. And then literally 2 minutes later, she'll ask me the same question. I'd be like, do you not remember? Like literally just rewind like 60 seconds, 120 seconds. I answered this. We'll go out to dinner. Like this happens every time. We'll go out to dinner. Can we go to a restaurant? Yes, we're going to a restaurant. Go to a restaurant, have the dinner, come back. And she'll be like, what are we having for dinner? And it's just like, what are you, and maybe I'm losing it. Maybe I'm losing it. So for her to remember like, from year 2, year 1, year 3 is just absurd. So yeah, this whole thing is taking a toll on her. And, she does get into the situation where, if something doesn't go her way, or if she becomes very frustrated, she shuts down. Sound familiar? Yeah, her dad. And I guess her mom. Her mom, when we were together, she, I would want to communicate and she would kind of hold back and shut down a lot of times. Like, hey, you went away for a week with your friends. How was it? It was fine. Cool. 7 days with your friends and it was fine. Cool. So yeah, she is the product of us. Right? So a lot of this shouldn't be surprising and shocking that when she encounters a challenge or difficulty, she shuts down instead of asking for help. I do the same exact thing. I just don't ask for help. And I just stew about it. So she stews. And she does kind of spiral a little bit and let her emotions get the best of her, which is, preaching to the choir, dude. That's exactly what's happening with me and her mom. So, the parent-teacher conference was a bit of an eye-opener. It was just like, I emailed I tried to take mental notes and then I tried to write it down so I get home and I sent it to my ex and it was she just rapid fire responds. And it's just like, I don't know that we need to get too out of control with this. These are notes, these are not like actionable steps. Like we need to do this. We need to do this. It's just like, hey, for your records, here's what's going on. And here's what to keep aware of. Here's what to be, and she's still young, turns 5 in September. So we'll see. it's kindergarten is going to be a little bit of an eye opener. And I think I mentioned this before where it's just like, I need to prep her big time about what to expect at kindergarten, because the kindergarten teachers, they don't hug. Okay. They're not going to say, I love you, like the freaking kids, freaking teachers or whatever at the daycare, the Goddard, the school, pre-K. So that was the parent teacher conference. And then I got to turn around and, I went to, I got very sick towards after the parent teacher conference. I don't know if it was just like all that information, trying to download that just like wore me out. Cause I had a headache, body aches, and fatigue to the point where it was like, fuck, is this COVID again? Is this the flu? What is this? Cause I've definitely let my guard down against the vid. Like the vid is just, it's just like synonymous with the flu now. So I figured, it's just, if you get it, you get it. But I was down for the count, and I was supposed to go to my buddy's pool party up in Stamford, Connecticut. And then I was going to try and swing a second date with a young lady, relatively young lady, a brunch on the way back. I figured to kill two birds with one stone. It's like she lives up North Jersey. So it's like, go to this pool party next day. Let's see how she deals with me being severely hung over, and nope, just completely wiped out my weekend. I mean, it's late June. It's officially summer. I was on my couch in a hoodie and sweatpants watching a whole lot of TV, a whole lot of movies. I ended up watching Avatar: Way of Water on Disney Plus. That thing was such a long movie. And I remember the first half hour, I was just like, how the fuck does this movie and this franchise consistently make $1 billion at the goddamn box office? How do they continue to pull this off? And then I watched for all 3 hours and I was just like, all right, not exactly a standing O, but I got to clap it up. You got to appreciate how the level of detail, the special effects. I mean, the story is the story. It was good-ish, but I mean, the visual effects and the special effects are just mind-blowing. And the world that James Cameron has created is truly amazing. But what is equally amazing is that prior to 2022, people forgot about Avatar. It is never mentioned as like the greatest movies of all time. It's just always mentioned when you talk about box office. And I don't know if it's just like because it is not R-rated and I don't think it's even PG-13. And it's like, it's not like the antagonist is the U.S. military. So of course everyone's going to be on board with that. Just like, oh yeah, the U.S. military sucks. The globe can get behind that. I think the only major issues I had with it were the way that the Na'vi kids talked, like the Sullys, what I understand is like, so Jake Sully still goes by Jake Sully. And so the family is called the Sullys, but they're Na'vi. Why not take your Na'vi name and have your family called by the Na'vi? I don't know. That was a little confusing. And then the way the younger brother, I don't know, I can't remember which brother. It might have been both brothers. The way that they talked in that movie, just like, yeah, bitch. Yeah, bro. And it's just like, you're Na'vi. Where are you picking this language up? Where is this coming from? You're talking like you're, Orange County, California middle schoolers. You're in Na'vi, Pandora, dude. How are you speaking like this? So that was a little weird. And then the whole other storyline, I could not wrap my head around, where like Sigourney Weaver, I've completely forgotten the first movie. I'll be honest. I kind of remembered bits and pieces as I was watching Way of Water, but at the same time, I was just like, oh yeah, Sigourney Weaver died. Is that right? Why is she in the tube? And she has a daughter. Who'd she have the daughter with? It was a lot of, just go with it. I was just like, just go with it. You're hurting. You ache all over. You're tired. Just turn your brain off and enjoy the visual effects. And I did. So yeah, I mean, everyone says to see it in the theater. I didn't see it in the theater. I saw it on my relatively nice TV, and it still popped, still looked good. So I watched that. I watched Extraction 2, Chris Hemsworth. Dare I say better than Extraction 1? I think so, yeah. They did the one shot where they break out the, I guess, mobster. I don't know if that's right. Crime lord. Higher up in the crime family, his wife and kids. When Chris Hemsworth has to go into the prison because like the wife and the kids are staying in a cell so that the father can be with them because the father has pulled some strings because they're the most powerful family in whatever country. And so he has to extract them. And that one shot, I mean, it's not actually a one shot, but they've edited it to look like a one shot. I know it's crazy that I'm saying this because I just said this about John Wick 4 with that over the head action sequence where it looks like you're playing Metal Gear Solid, like old school Metal Gear Solid with Snake. Overhead kind of view going through rooms. Like seeing that sequence was unreal. I have not seen anything like it. And I thought, oh, that's got to be one of the top action sequences of all time. There was an action sequence in Atomic Blonde that was pretty decent that I would put up there. Extraction 2, add it to the list, dude. That quasi one shot from entering the prison, into the prison, coming out. He gets bashed in the head with a brick at one point and is able to kind of like hold off a concussion or play through it, friggin' was it Case Keenum style, and manages to pull it off. Wow. What a movie. That's another movie where it's like, I don't remember a lot from Extraction 1. I remember there was another one shot sequence in Extraction 1. It was pretty good, but I needed a refresher throughout that movie. And I will say, like, that towards the end, that last scene in the church, right? Because that's the final meetup with the final boss, the crime family's brother, whatever, who was pretty badass, like just from the look and his demeanor, like one of the better villains. But like, he threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Chris Hemsworth throughout this entire movie. And then all of a sudden, the final sequence, there's just nobody. It's just him and maybe like a handful of dudes at this church. What are we doing? So I thought that was a little odd, but otherwise, I think it was a great movie. I watched Creed 3 on Prime Video. I thought that was a pretty fitting end to the trilogy. I still can't get over the age thing. I mean, both these motherfuckers have to be almost 40 at this point. Like, I want to say, my boxing knowledge is not great, but I'd have to say, I would think that George Foreman was like the oldest heavyweight champion at like, had to be in his upper 30s, maybe he was 40. I just don't think that there are a ton of boxers that I can think of that boxed into their late 30s, early 40s and were successful. I could be completely wrong about that, but that's, every once in a while you get reminded, like I just get caught trying to do the math where it's like, so wait, Rocky IV came out in 85. So if he sleeps with another woman that's not his wife, like the day before he's killed by Drago in the ring, spoiler alert. So then we fast forward to 2015, he would have been 30. It's now 2023, 38. I guess it all adds up. It's just like, damn, dude. Michael B. Jordan is just a phenom, a specimen. Even when before he starts his training montage and gets in really good shape, it's like you're still 1%, like physically, you're still top of the line. I still believe Drago's son. I watched Creed 1. I think I saw Creed 1 in the theater, or maybe at home, but I saw Creed 2 at home recently, and I was like, Drago's son, I think, is bigger than Drago. It's just like he would smoke you. But Jonathan Majors was the antagonist in this movie. And a couple things stood out to me. A couple notes. One, This dude went to jail for 18 freaking years. And the entire movie, I'm sitting there going, okay, they keep flashing back to the inciting incident, right? The event that has really pretty much launched the antagonist's motivation, right? It's where Michael B. Jordan, Jonathan Majors' character, Dame, picks him up. Michael B. Jordan pretends to be asleep. He escapes through the window out of his house. He's with his now, I guess, what do you call it? Adopted mother? It's like Apollo's wife, and I guess it's eventually becomes his mother because the actual birth mother is nowhere to be found, I guess. So he sneaks out of the house. Dame picks him up with the car. They go to the junior boxing type event, and Dame, wins. Michael B. Jordan's there. And I guess they go to a liquor store afterwards to celebrate. Michael B. Jordan's walking towards the liquor store. He bumps into this guy that he does not like at all. Bigger adult type guy, and just beats the crap out of him, pushes him down, and just started wailing on him. And then the other dude's boys come, and that's when Jonathan Majors' character pulls a gun on them. And so the whole movie, they keep flashing back to that. And so the whole movie, I'm thinking, okay, he got 18 years because he shot a guy. He shot someone. He had to have. Spoiler alert, dude. And I mean, if you're not going to, spoiler alert. Fast forward 30 seconds, I guess. He got 18 years for just pulling a gun. Like, the cops show up. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't fire the gun. He doesn't shoot anyone. The cops show up, and I guess they don't show it, but I guess Michael B. Jordan ran away, and maybe Dame tried to run away, and that's like added years on the sentence. But 18 years he might have just become an adult. So he's older than Michael B. Jordan. I think he was like 18 or 17, 16, 17 or 18 when that happened in 1998, which would make him so old in 2023. Unless this is supposed to be like, it's not 2023, it's 2020, it's 2019 or whatever. I don't know. So obviously Jonathan Majors' character comes away from that experience and is like, I blame Michael B. Jordan. He didn't have my back. And so now I'm working my ass off in prison. I'm going to get out. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Michael B. Jordan to, Adonis Creed. And I'm going to, be like, hey, I want to box again. I want to be a heavyweight champion. And you can make that happen, right? And so Adonis is like, I guess. So that's pretty much the conflict throughout the movie is Dame versus Adonis, right? And that's what's going to lead up to them eventually boxing each other because Drago was the number one contender, was supposed to face the champion, who's this young Hispanic upstart kid who is under Adonis's, I don't know what you call it, leadership, management. So he hires someone to break Drago's hand, and then he ends up fighting the Hispanic guy, fights dirty, ends up winning. And then he has the belt. He's on the beach. Adonis finds out that Dame hired the dude to break Drago's hand. Drago is also under Adonis's management and confronts him on the beach. And Dame is basically like, fuck off with your nonsense. And Adonis calls him some names. And that's when Adonis can't handle it. He turns around and he goes to hit him and ends up getting punched in the face and then threatened. If you da-da-da-da, this is Dame now. If you da-da-da, I'm coming for your family. I'm coming for everything you own. Like, that is a pretty goddamn serious threat. And that doesn't feel like this is on a beach. This is not at a press conference where you're trying to make headlines or like trying to drum up business for pay-per-view. It's on a beach. There are no cameras. There are no reporters. You say something like that, it seems pretty serious. So my issue is they fight and there's they have it in Dodger Stadium because it's the Battle of LA, which I thought was an interesting angle, cool angle. They're both from Compton. They fight at Dodger Stadium, which I also thought was pretty cool, but it was also very fake. So CGI'd out like crazy. And I come to realize, well, it's CGI'd out because then they have this whole kind of mystical, magical sequence where it's like the background kind of disappears and it turns into this like almost a dream sequence, like fantasy sequence. And of course, Adonis wins, spoiler alert. But then he goes after he's like with his daughter and wife and the thing, and then they come out, and then he goes in to see Dame. He sits next to Dame in the cubby, the locker. They're just like, "You cool?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm cool." Just like, what? And maybe this is why me so white. This is me being very white, I guess. This dude committed a friggin' crime where he broke a guy's hand that probably cost him a shit ton of money. You know it was him. You could easily ring him up and get him arrested, but I guess it makes sense that he wouldn't because he feels guilty that he went to jail in the first place. He should have had his back and not blah, blah, blah. So I get not turning him into the police. I get it. And also snitches get stitches. I get it. You don't want to be a narc. I get it. But then this dude threatened your family. He threatened to take everything you own. You had to feel threatened on a very serious, fatal, terminal level. And it was just like they have this like little conversation. It was just like, you good? You good? Yeah, I'm good. All right, you good? All right, cool. Later. Like, what? Okay. All right. So I think those were the only issues I had with Creed 3. Otherwise, a pretty decent film. There was no Sylvester Stallone. There was no Dolph Lundgren. It was cool, and I do appreciate the relationship that he has with his wife, played by, you know it, Tessa Thompson, who is just, I love her in just about everything. Yes, everything. So, they have a daughter, and the daughter wants to box, and it's like, well, you gotta do, it's like interesting. So Creed 3, yeah, give it a watch. I mean, it's not anything like groundbreaking or revolutionary. It's just like good old fashioned storytelling with a pretty tried and true formula. I also caught up on all the Indiana Jones franchise. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but I rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark. It's been so long since I've seen that. Rewatched Temple of Doom. So long since I've seen that. And then I decided Last Crusade, I watched that. And a lot of people, I remember when I was younger, people being like, oh, Last Crusade friggin' stinks, dude. It's the worst of the franchise. And I'm saying to myself, and I rewatched it. I'm like, I mean, it's not that bad. It's not that far off. Like I've heard some people say that Crusade is above Temple of Doom. And so I decided, all right, if Last Crusade wasn't so bad, and I actually liked it, let's throw on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which came out in 2008, which I definitely remember. I don't think I saw it in the theater, but I definitely remember getting it on Netflix DVD. What's up? I'm old. What's up? And I rewatched that, and I was like, it's been 15 years since I've seen this friggin' movie. Maybe it's not as bad as everyone thought it was. Put it on, and for the first half of the movie, I'm like, I really don't see hardly any issues with this movie, other than maybe Shia LaBeouf. I think a lot of people had issues with Shia LaBeouf in that movie, and I don't have that much of an issue. I can see why people would have an issue with it, but I think he held his own. Were there better choices? Maybe, but and of course the twist at the end, I felt like that was just kind of didn't hit like I think it was supposed to. But otherwise, I like that they brought back Margot Kidder, Marion Ravenwood. I think that was awesome. And Cate Blanchett, dude. I mean, like, she's awesome. Cate Blanchett and everything she does is friggin' awesome. So I think it had a pretty decent cast, and I enjoyed the storyline. It's just the CGI not so great. But it was 2008. I mean, that fight scene with Shia LaBeouf, where he's the two Jeeps are driving side by side through the jungle in the car chase, and he's got his legs out and he's fighting Cate Blanchett. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Like, I would have liked to seen Spielberg be like, you know what, we've done this practically before in IRL, so let's just try that route first. We'll do this route and then we'll do that route. See what comes out looking better. Kind of wish he had gone the practical real life route instead of CGI with that. And then the other major CGI part was the end with the spoiler, the spaceship and the aliens and whatnot. But otherwise, I thought I liked the story. I liked the what's his name, Oxley, who like was so taken by the crystal skull and then being held captive for so long that he like can't speak and doesn't recognize Indy, and like him coming out of it, and like that whole journey was cool. I thought that was a cool part. There were some pretty good action sequences, and I don't see, like, people are like, oh, the alien thing is like going too far fetched, and it's like the arc, right? And the part where the guy rips the heart out, like that wasn't too much. Like literally Temple of Doom's opening scene, they friggin' jump out of a plane, blow up a raft, and land safely on a snowy mountain, and then fall off a cliff into the water. Like, I remember seeing that and being like, oh my God, really? I'm supposed to buy that? All right. So, it's that whole magical mystical thing, baby. And then, of course, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny opens, I guess, a couple weeks ago, June 30th, and is widely considered a bomb. It had a production budget of $295 million. What are we doing? Why? The Flash had a production budget of like 200 some odd, 80 million, and like is barely breaking even. And then Dial of Destiny, 295, and I think it's cracked 260 at the box office. So a lot of people are saying, like, pointing to a quote from Steven Spielberg 10 years ago that said that there's going to be an implosion in 10 years. And it's like, well, I don't think movies are dead. I don't think movies are dying. I still love going to the movie theater. I might even still go see Dial of Destiny in the movie theater. I'm a bit of a masochist. I don't know. I've heard from some people that it's like not great, but it's not bad. And it's a fitting end to Harrison Ford's reign of as Indiana Jones. Will they be making more with a different guy? I don't think so. I think that's pretty much run its course. But never say never. 20 years from now, they might dust that off and be like, you know what? Harrison Ford has unfortunately passed RIP, but we have a guy up and comer. He's 30, who's in the same kind of mold. And then we can look at how Indiana Jones, again, I haven't seen Dial of Destiny, so I don't know how it ends, but like maybe there's an opening there that someone can run with. But then, people say movies are dying, but then all I see on my friggin' timelines is newsfeed is this hashtag Barbenheimer. 20,000 people have bought tickets to see Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day, back to back. 20,000 is for sure not a small number, but when considering the amount of tickets that one movie sells with something like Barbie and Oppenheimer, which have gained a fucking ton of momentum and buzz over the past month, I'd expect them to sell more than 10 million tickets, more than 5 million tickets at least. So 20,000 is kind of a drop in the bucket. It's still a lot. And honestly, I'm a sucker for that kind of shit, for those kind of gimmicks. So I might do that. And the question is, what do you see first? There's that meme from, I think, Hot Fuzz, where Nick Frost holds up the two DVDs and is like, and Simon Pegg is like, I can't choose. And he's like, no, which one do you want to watch first? And it has the Barbie on one and Oppenheimer on the other. I've given this some thought, not a ton of thought, because that's ridiculous. Tonally, and for my own mental health, feels like I should watch Oppenheimer first, swallow the frog, as they say, and then go into Barbie and have it be a nice little, I get to like release all the tension, anxiety, and nervousness. Although, I mean, you see in the trailer that there's that section where Margot Robbie's like, you guys ever think about dying? And it's just like, oh no. So there's also been plenty of great video edits showing like the Oppenheimer bomb going off and like being pink. And you see it's like, this is Barbie's village or whatever, Barbie's Malibu beach house or whatever. It's like people have a lot of time in their hands and you're using it productively and creatively. And I enjoy that. I'd love to get to that level. My God. So yeah, I don't think movies are dying. I'm probably would want to maybe next week. I don't know. I'd do both same day. Why not? Live a little. So yeah, there was that was me being sick, headache, body, fatigue. Missed my buddy's pool party. He was. I'm sure he thinks I was making it all up. I actually went and got a COVID test. $200. What? Wait. I could strangle whoever came up with all this marketing material saying free test, free test, free test, get tested, it's free. Bullshit. And then insurance doesn't cover it. $200. Negative. I was also negative for the flu. What the hell did I have? What the hell did I have? Of course, felt better just in time to go to work. Isn't that great how that works out? Went to work, and then that was Monday. And my buddy from college was like, hey, you in the city on this day? So-and-so's in town. Our other buddy's in town from Massachusetts, Boston area. We're going to get some dinner and drinks. I was like, all right, sweet. Yeah, I'm feeling better. Why not go right back to feeling shitty? We went to this place called Legaseas, which honestly sounds like a mermaid-themed strip club, like a nautical gentleman's club. Like we're 20,000 leagues under the titties. No, Jesus. Yeah, so Legaseas, pretty nice place. I want to say 36th and 7th. It's pretty close to Penn Station. Went there and food was great. Spicy crab beignets for an appetizer. Oh my God. I had the oysters, half East, half West Coast. My buddy got the mussels. My other buddy got the fish and chips, which the fish didn't look like fish. They look like fish sticks, but like gourmet fish sticks, you know? Had a tequila and soda to kick things off. Maybe a couple of those. Then we had a couple of Brooklyn pale ales or whatever. We ended up going back to the back bar and getting pitchers. And then came time to like, hey, maybe we should turn in. It's Monday night. You know, it's Monday night. We're in our 40s. It's Monday night. And so I walked to Penn Station. I missed the 12:14 a.m. train back to Princeton and caught the very last one to leave Penn Station for Princeton, New Jersey, the 1:22 in the morning. I was starving because even though I spent X amount of dollars on a fancy seafood dinner, it occupied maybe 5% of my stomach. Like I just like, no wonder I was drunk, because it was like I had the equivalent of a goldfish in my belly. So I went to the bodega, the Hudson News, whatever stand, and I got like 2 or 3 protein bars, 2 or 3 protein drinks. And for shits and gigs, what I'm drinking tonight, 2 high noons. Because that makes sense. Yeah. Let's get the protein in, and then let's like shower that with some more booze that I don't need. 2 high noons. Why? So weird. And I didn't get home until 3 in the morning, and I had work the next day. Fortunately, I did not have to go in the office. I worked from home because I had to pick up my suits from the dry cleaners because I had to go the next day to my grandmother's memorial service in Cranston, Rhode Island at, I believe it was St. George's or St. Mary's, one of those two. It's basically the same church where my great-grandmother, aka great-great, is buried alongside her 2 husbands. Here's the story behind that. It's a quickie but a goodie. She was married to, I'm going to say Raphael Cianci. Does that sound right? Frank or Raphael? One of those 2 names. It's sad that I don't know it off the top of my head. Why don't I know it off the top of my head? He was long gone before I was even born. He passed, quote unquote, at the age of 27. And so, as was, I guess, tradition in a lot of families of Italian descent in that era and in previous years, decades, the brother of her husband stepped in and was like, you can't be a widow. Come on, just marry me. I'll be your husband. I'm basically the same thing, right? And I guess so they got married. And of course, he passed. And so she's buried right between them. I think that's so funny. Nice little husband hoagie, husband grinder, husband sandwich. So my great grandmother's buried there. We had we had the memorial service for my grandfather there, who passed when he was in his early 90s. Both my other grandparents passed in their 90s. So it's like, Neal, just don't F this up. It's like I'm aiming for 82, 83, but 90s doesn't sound so bad. Let's roll with that. So, yeah, that was at 12 p.m. on Wednesday. And I found out, I didn't even know it was that day and that time until my one of my uncles emailed me and he's like, hey, so you're let me know what time you're arriving, and you're going to be doing a reading. You're going to do the second reading, and here's the text. Here's the verse or whatever from the Bibes. And I was like, what? I didn't even know. Jesus, I didn't even know that it was happening at that time. And that I'm, oh boy, I'm supposed to have my daughter that night. So it's like literally I'm up at 7 and out the door driving to Cranston. I get to my grandmother's place where everyone's staying at 11:30. I have enough time to walk in, say hi, take a piss, put on my tie and jacket, and walk back out. Like, oh boy. So, and it was a great service. It was, I think it was an hour and a half. I remember the pastor priest type person had some very sage words, advice that was really comforting and hopeful. Love is not where you breathe, it's where your heart is, I think was the quote that I came away with from that speech. And then I had to do my reading. I did the second reading, a reading from the letter of St. Paul to the Romans, which I will read to you now. Brothers and sisters, what then shall we say to this? If God is for us, who can be against us? He who did not spare his own son, but handed him over for us all, how will he not also give us everything else along with him? Who will bring a charge against God's chosen ones? It is God who acquits us. Who will condemn? It is Christ, parentheses Jesus, who died, rather, was raised, who also is at the right hand of God, who indeed intercedes for us. Hey, what will separate us from the love of Christ, right? Will anguish or distress or persecution or famine or nakedness or peril or the sword? No. In all these things we conquer overwhelmingly through him who loved us. For I am convinced that neither death, nor life, nor angels, nor principalities, nor present things, nor future things, nor powers, nor height, nor depth, nor any other creature will be able to separate us from the love of God in Christ Jesus our Lord. The word of our Lord. Amen. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a religious person. My intro, it used to be like I went to a Catholic high school, but I'm not Catholic. And I got communion. I'm Christian, I guess, technically Episcopalian. So I don't go to church. And for me to read a passage like that is tough because a lot of it's like, oof. But I try to focus in on the things that are not so heaped on the God Jesus side of things, but like, let's talk about a lot of the themes that are going on in that reading. But the part that got me that was like, I don't know how this is going to go over with the rest of this crowd here in the pews. But when I like the nakedness thing, that part of the reading, I was just like, okay, try not to giggle. So yeah, second reading. Of course, as I got up to go to the front to the podium, my chapstick fell out of my pants and made a loud noise that echoed throughout the huge high-roofed church. My uncle, who's been kind of running the show in terms of like, managing this whole process, especially with my grandmother going into hospice and then passing, gave a eulogy. And it was outstanding. I've asked him to share that eulogy, that speech with me and with the family, and he said he would, and he didn't. Otherwise, I would read it to you because it is incredible. It was beautiful. There was laughs, there was tears, there was, an emotional roller coaster. It was the whole nine. Then his son, my cousin, who I haven't seen in a long time, got up and sang, and it was almost too perfect. he had a speaker, a Bluetooth speaker. He was going to connect his phone to the Bluetooth speaker so he could play the instrumental version of the song that he wanted to sing, and then he would sing. Well, technical difficulties. And so the crowd starts to get a little restless. They're clamoring. They're like, oh, little grumbles and mumbles. And they're like, and someone said, you don't have to use the speaker. Just use your phone speaker. It's fine. We can hear it. And he's like, all right. Of course, last second, he's able to get it to connect. And then I have never heard him sing. Unfortunately, I think I was invited to a show. I didn't go. That's my bad. I'm the worst. He sang, and his voice was amazing. Angelic even. He played a song from a band called Pine Grove. The song is called Skylight, I believe. I don't know how they sing it, but they should just, whoever does normally sing it, they should just step aside and let my cousin lay down a track over their instrumental, because I think it would, if you were there in that pew with me when you heard that song, it'd be Niagara Falls, dude, all over the place. So just beautiful. Got to catch up with a lot of family and a lot of my dad's friends. One of my dad's friends was there, still in tip-top shape. I mean, this guy's veins, like, I have not seen a vein of mine in my entire life. Like, I just don't, nothing pops on my body. Nothing pops. There are no veins. It just, nothing's popping out. This guy has veins the size of my arm in his arms. And he's got to be in his 70s, early 70s at this point. Same age as what my dad would have been. So, and lo and behold, yesterday was the anniversary of my father passing. It's been 17 years since he was taken from us way too soon and way too quickly. And so yesterday it was like, it took, I normally with July 13th, I'm dreading it the entire week leading up to that. Like the Sunday or Monday before July 13th or whatever, how many days, 6 days before it, I'm dreading that day. Nothing bad happens, but it's just, I just don't like thinking about it and reliving that day over and over again. And normally, almost every other year or every year up to this past year, people would reach out and say, thinking of you and your family, just kind of checking in. There was no checking in this year. It was very interesting, very weird, and not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe even a good thing. I don't know. It's just like, you don't want to forget him. Obviously, I don't think anyone's forgotten him. But at the same time, it was odd that even I, like that morning, I woke up and the first thought wasn't, today's the day. It took me until I was at work, about 2 to 3 hours into work, and I was like, oh my God, I looked at the date and I was just like, Jesus Christ. Today's the day. But one of the major reasons this podcast exists is because of my father. Because he left me with not a whole lot. I always thought, when he passed, I was 25, right? We had, since graduating college, that's when we started to not be so much father and son and be more like friends, which I think is normal for a lot of parents and kids. It's like, before you become an adult, it's like they got to keep you in check and be the disciplinarian and the guide. And then once you kind of get through the high school and college and you get your first job and you're like, it looks like it's like pretty steady. That's when they can kind of let their walls down a little bit more and shoot the shit just like a friend. And so we were just getting to that point, and then he passed. So that's part of the reason why I started this podcast, is because I want records, documentation of who I was, so that if my daughter ever decides to look at this stuff and watch it and listen to it, she can get a better sense of who I was, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And just I just want, because since my father's passed, all I have thought about is my legacy and legacy in general. I know that's narcissistic and selfish, and I apologize, but it did definitely put things into perspective. Like, okay, what am I doing with my life? Is this the path I should take? How am I spending my time? So then time became like a number one issue for me, where it's like, am I wasting time? How could I not waste time? I want to make sure I make the most of every second I have. And that's why I don't go to concerts. And I don't really listen to music too much or music that I've heard before. Because it's like, I've heard this before. I want something new. I want to do something, accomplish something new. I don't want to do something that I've already heard before, already seen before. I need to be doing new, or more. Legitimately, I have a mental disease. It's a disorder, and I'm getting help. Don't worry, I'm getting help. I'm now on Wellbutrin, an antidepressant. I used to be on Lexapro. I'm now on Wellbutrin, and so far, so good. I guess one side effect is that you lose weight. I'm now way less than what I did on my wedding day, which wasn't anything crazy. It was like 220, 219. I'm now below that. So, and I don't feel like I'm doing much of anything different. So maybe, I might have got a tapeworm or ringworm. I don't know. One of the two. The tapeworm might have got one of those, but I guess the Wellbutrin's helping with that, where it's like, it's just telling my mind, hey, you don't need like a second quesadilla. You don't need to eat all of that and then another round, maybe just the one thing. Okay. So one of the things that I get very, so that, my dad, that was the anniversary of my father's passing. And that's why I do this podcast, is a major reason why is, cause I want to make sure that, my daughter can still watch me and see me. Like, I can't watch or see my father in action. I mean, we have the home videos, but in the home videos that we saved and digitized, he's behind the camera the entire time. So it's like, I can hear his voice. That's cool, but not much of him on camera. So I was like, all right, no matter how few people listen to this shit, I'm going to keep doing it. Cause I think it's worth it to document everything that's going on and to show my daughter that I'm not this uptight dictator all the time. That I do have another side to me, and a lot of the stuff that I say to her is just to make sure she doesn't go off the rails. But she's a good girl. Overly affectionate though. So ridiculous. So yeah, it was at 12. I left my grandmother's house. I had a humongous coffee, and I left my grandmother's house with it looked like an art heist. I had all these framed paintings and pictures that it's like, she's not going to, she can't use them anymore. And so, I ended up taking those home. Left before 4, got to my ex's place at around 7 or 8. And, drove home. Friday was the daughter's pre-K graduation. She, which is still absurd to say on so many levels, that they have a full-blown ceremony. I have the program right here. This is not a one-sheeter for anyone who's listening. This is multiple pages. You can hear that. Multiple pages. And it was a Super Mario Brothers themed ceremony and show. The Super School proudly presents a super graduation party. Started at 5. I had to drop my daughter off an hour early at 4 o'clock. Holy smokes. What the hell? And then we couldn't stay in the school. And it wasn't at her school. It was at a middle school that was legitimately a half-hour drive away. So they're like, yeah, all right, we're going to kick you out until the show begins. I'm like, where am I supposed to? I can't be in the school for an hour. So I have to go sit in my friggin' car for an hour and bake. Awesome. But the level of production that this thing had is out of control. So they put on a Super Mario Brothers themed show for an hour plus. And then they have the ceremony. Then they have the diplomas and presentation of diplomas where they get in their hat and the gowns. And then they have a whole compilation, highlights reel of pre-K memories. and then a dinner reception. So this thing was like legit 3+ hours, plus the additional hour, the 4th hour that I had to be there because God knows why. There was a section where the kids get up and they are holding, they've done drawings on a big piece of poster board of what they want to be when they grow up. And most of the kids were like, my name is so-and-so. And when I grow up, I want to be a doctor. And my name is so-and-so. And when I grow up, I want to be a dentist. And my name is so-and-so. And when I grow up, I want to be a teacher. My name is so-and-so. When I grow up, I want to be an astronaut, right? Pretty standard fare, right? Good luck with that. Although judging by how a lot of these kids, their mental capacity and their intelligence, like that's probably going to happen. But so everyone goes, my daughter gets up there. She says, hello, my name is Brielle. I'm not even doing it justice. It was so fast. Like there were no spaces in between the words. It was just one run-on word. It wasn't even a run-on sentence. It was just a run-on word. It was like, hello, my name is Brielle. When I grow up, I want to be a video game character. Just out of control. No one else had that. And I laughed and I was proud because I was like, well, at least it's unique. I don't like being normal and standard and regular and basic, even though I think a lot of people would say I am a sub-basic. But the fact that she threw that out there just made me laugh. And it was just like, I'm so proud because she's like, she broke the mold. She kind of deviated from what everyone else is doing. But in reality, I think what happened, and I made a joke about this at the ceremony, was I think she pulled a Brick Tamlin, like, Brick, what do you love? And Brick looks around, he sees a lamp and goes, I love lamp. It's like, Brick, are you just looking around the room and naming things? Like, I feel like that's what my daughter did. It was just like, Brie, what do you want to be when you grow up? And she just looks around. She just sees like all the Super Mario Brothers theme shit. And she's just like a video game character. 7 sketches they put on. 7. And these are not short sketches. The first chess was with chess. Well, they have these huge chess pieces and they have to say what they are and what they do. The second sketch was fitness, where they have people line up and then they have to say stuff about fitness. Third one is reading, where they had these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 kids stand up and do readings. These kids read better than I do. I was mentioning how my daughter, like, not really reading too well right now. She's 4, but I think that'll improve as I work with her more on it. These kids get up there and they might as well have their own audiobooks. It's like, oh, hey, you just won a Grammy, right? For your audiobook entitled The Super Mario Brothers Graduation Show. Yeah. Oh yeah. Love that book. I mean, unbelievable. So yeah, Brie has a little bit of catching up to do. The next one was Spanish, where like they literally have the Spanish kids talk Spanish, and then the rest of the class like sings in Spanish and says Spanish. Then they have yoga. Apparently, yoga, that was a thing. Science, which was what the sketch my daughter was in, where they I'm not too sure what the experiment was, but it was like my daughter's line was pour 4 cups of oil. And she pours the oil into this big, huge beaker test tube thing. And they drop an Alka-Seltzer in it, and it's like literally nothing happened. And I was just like, wow, science. Catch the fever. And then they did math, where everything that my daughter has said to me or done with me for the past 2-3 months has now made sense. Because all these things that I thought were random or strange or was like, whoa, that's weird, it all culminated for the pre-K graduation. It was like, oh, you've been saying all this stuff to me because your teacher said keep it a secret, and you couldn't keep it a secret. You did, but you had to say and do all these things that are related to the show because you've been practicing it nonstop. So like it makes sense that you're saying 1 + 1 is 2. And 2 + 2 is 4. 3 plus 3 is 6 and 4 plus 4 is 8. 5 plus 5 is that. It's like that song that you've been singing. That's because it's in the show. Okay, that makes sense. And then the other day when we were driving and you said, what character do you want to be? I was like, what? What do you mean? She's like, well, Alex said that he wants to be a doctor or an astronaut. And Rory said that he wants to be a teacher. So what character do you want to be? And I was like, oh, okay. What do I want to be when I grow up? Like, are you asking what do I do for a living? It's like, well, I'm an analyst. She's like, an analyst? Like trying to pronounce it and and I'm like, yeah, like I take a look at numbers and then I tell my coworkers and bosses like what those numbers mean, And I'm a numbers guy. She goes, analyst, numbers guy. I'm like, oh, that was interesting. It's so weird that she's taking interest in me for once. And it's like, no, it's just because she's got it on the brain because she was been practicing for this graduation show for the past 3 years. And then we had the celebration, the post show celebration. But we got some great pictures and whatnot. I did sit next to my ex, and now I'm being more flexible in the way that I think and present myself and act. We're gonna try and get together more because the look on my daughter's face when as she's looking from the stage out to the audience and she sees her mother and father together sitting next to each other. I swear to God, this kid is definitely for sure going to plan a Parent Trap situation, like Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap style. Going to try and get me and her mother back together, and it's not going to work. I'm telling you right now. But kudos to you for planting the seed and for getting the ball rolling on that whole scheme. But she was ecstatic to see us sitting next to each other, and the reception, the buffet style reception afterwards, I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Like, okay. But we didn't stay for too long and I had to skedaddle and I said goodbye. And of course we drive back to Princeton. I'm in front, X is in back with the daughter. That's when we made the handoff. And I pull off because I live further south or closer. And so I pull off and I'm about to unlock the door to my apartment. And I get a call from my ex saying, as soon as she saw you pull away for your exit, she started to cry and say that she misses you and she wants to talk to you. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be long and it's going to be tough. So, the pre-K graduation was awesome. I had a lot of fun, and it was great seeing her have so much fun and see the fruits of her labor. All that practice had paid off, and I'm just I'm like starting to think like, okay, what is the high school graduation going to be like? Like, what is her college graduation going to be like? If the pre-K graduation is this, holy. So that was Friday night. Saturday morning, I had to get up and drive to Charlottesville, Virginia for a wedding. One of my friends getting married in Charlottesville, Virginia. I was staying at the Graduate in Charlottesville. I think it's on Main Street. It's a pretty safe bet. There's like a million main streets, right? And I ended up getting up a little bit too late. All right. So the wedding ceremony is at 5, right? It's at the Trump Winery. And I probably should have done some research. I have no idea if this is like Donald Trump's winery. I have a feeling it's got to be that, right? I don't know. I don't know if it's Donald Trump or not. But so the ceremony's at 5. I thought the buses leave at like 4:30. From the hotel, like 4:30, maybe even 4:45. Like, it can't be that long a trip from the hotel to the thing. I was wrong. I was for sure wrong about that. And I left my house at probably like 8:30ish. And normally it's a 5-hour drive, I think. 4.5, 5-hour drive, maybe 5.5. And I got on the road by 9:30. I got to the hotel in Charlottesville at 3:30 to learn that the buses are leaving at 4 and 4:15. So I am officially light speed hyperdrive getting ready. Like, I have to shower, I have to shave, I have to shiznit, I have to like figure out my suit because I have not really tried on the entire ensemble yet. And so I showered super quick, shaved super quick without cutting the fiznuck out of my face, because that's usually is what happens when I'm not, because I have the mirror set up in the shower. So when I take a shower at home, I got the mirror on the shower wall. I have the face is nice and loosey goosey and not so tight and constricted. So it's less chances of cutting. You know, it's nice and soft. I tenderize the meat before I shave the fuzz. You know, all that is grade A stuff at home. I don't have the luxury of a mirror in the shower, on the road, away game. So I have to like get out of the shower and shave. And so I'm pressed for time, and I'm thinking, oh, my neck is going to look like I've been attacked by a Wolverine. So managed to somehow evade major slices and dices on the face, on the mug, and was able to get dressed. I still had not had anything to eat the entire day. So it's now almost 4 and I haven't eaten anything all day. And they give you a gift bag at the front desk when you check in. So I'm looking through the gift bag and I'm like, Rice Krispie treat. Like, it's just not, that's not going to be enough. And then I saw there was like what do they call it? It's not a Cliff Bar, but it's like the bar that has 6 ingredients, and it says the ingredients in big words. Like there's 5 or 6 ingredients, and it says it in big words, text right on the label, on the wrapper. That's what I had. Shoved that down my face. I don't even think I chewed. I just went Great White style and swallowed whole. Tried to make coffee. This coffee machine was so weird. It was like the big pot on a hot plate. You fill the water in the big pot, put it on the hot plate, plug it into the outlet, into the wall and the outlet. And then I tried to pour it, and then I tried to like chug it, and I burned the piss out of my tongue trying to chug it, and I only could get halfway through. And then looked down at my phone. I had a million texts. Where are you? Where are you? We're on the bus. We're going to leave. I got on that bus at 4:16. So they actually, I think they might have held the bus for me a whole minute. And I was officially the very last person on the bus. Got a standing ovation, no big deal. Lots of high fives being handed out. And turns out, and I looked, I was the only person wearing a tan suit. That's right, folks. Tan suit. It was a rental, I rented a tan suit from the blacktux.com. And I thought about buying it, and I'm starting to think I should have bought it because it got some pretty good rave reviews at the ceremony and the reception. And it's ironic because I remember my wedding, one of my buddies showed up in a tan suit, and I was like, look at this motherfucker. Are you serious? What are you doing? Tan suit. Oh my God. He was the only one wearing a tan suit, and looking back, he looked phenomenal. So why I had to throw shade or hate his way is on me. I'm now a tan suit guy. You have to understand why I thought tan suits weren't really my style. It's because I thought my skin would blend into the suit and people would think I'm naked. No, that's not it. So, the tan suit, I think, paid off. Looked pretty good. There was a dude who kind of one-upped me. He wore an all-American suit. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, he was wearing a blue blazer, like patriotic color of the USA flag blue blazer with the white stars on the blazer and red pants. Now, if it were truly all-American, in my opinion, in my honest opinion, the pants would be red and white stripes. It would be stars and stripes, top to bottom. Instead, it was just red pants. I turned to my buddy that I was talking to, and he goes, if that dude showed up to my wedding wearing that, I'd kick him out. And I was like, oh, okay. Interesting. I don't know if people are down with the stars and stripes suit. The Trump Winery, regardless of your affiliations, political or otherwise, the beautiful venue. I mean, The bus driver that took us there is a mad woman, a lunatic through and through, was going so fast. And it's raining, by the way. Forgot to mention that. It's raining. It's pouring. The old man is snoring. The roads are wet. It's slippery. We're going through back roads of Virginia. There are mountains on either side. There's twists and turns. There's no straightaways. This bus driver was going well above the speed limit to the point where people that have never been car sick were getting car sick, to the point where it was mostly the ladies. I didn't see a lot of dudes getting that crazy upset. The ladies putting the death grip on the chair, the seat in front of them. I don't think there were seatbelts. This was like one of those old school buses. People were like about to puke, about to boot on the bus, but we made it there in one piece. And my God, this venue, this like building sat on the top of, not the very top, but on the top of a hill, and down the hill you see all these vineyards and whatnot, just rolling hills, just like crazy idyllic, I guess is the word. I don't know. It's interesting being one of the only divorcees. Like there was one other divorcee that I knew at the wedding, and that's been tough for me. It's like I'm at the age now where I'm really the only divorcee in most social gatherings. Like 50% of marriages end in divorce, but somehow I'm like 1 in a million when it comes to every friggin' social gathering I've ever been to. So it was good to have a fellow divorcee there. But I mean, having some married guys come up to me and like, so why did you get divorced? And here's what I'm going through. You know, it's like all of a sudden it was like, it's a friend checking in with me to, okay, now I'm their spiritual advisor. I'm now their life coach. Like, okay, here's what you want to do. Don't do what I did. That's step 1. Step 2, seriously, do not do what I did. But you know, if it proves anything, it's that relationships are so freaking hard, dude. I sat kind of in the back for the ceremony. It was a fairly quick ceremony. I think Christine's friend, like lifelong childhood friend, a dude, was the officiant. He had like a sick mullet. You know, he's like our age, a little bit younger, and he's wearing glasses, and he has like this like sick black mullet that looked like very nice. It was cracking jokes throughout the whole like ceremony. They cut to a gentleman on the piano who sang a beautiful song. I was like, I can't believe, like, I know these people who have such beautiful voices. We had the following the ceremony, we had the cocktail hour, sorted meats and cheeses. Way too many tequila and sodas for me. I ended up tipping the guy like $20 at the end of the night, and it still felt like I gypped him somehow with all the doubles he was giving me. I was just going doubles. I was just like, all right, let's get nuts. And I'll say this, and this won't be the first time I've mentioned this, because this past week there was a 7-day stretch or less. Yeah, there was a week in which my friends were playing Matchmaker and trying to set me up with a lady. Twice it happened in 1 week. And both times I don't think it worked out for either party in either situation. It's just, love you guys, but no. Yeah, so they sat me next to a single lady who is also a Giants and Mets fan. So you would think, oh my God. So should we go to town hall now and get the documents signed, get the papers out of the way? Just make it official right off the bat. Say no more. But no, that was not enough to win me over, I guess. I mean, great girl, great woman, and very nice, lovely conversation. But I've had so many thoughts about this ever since it happened, because that's a lot to process, to be set up or match made, I guess, I don't know if that's the word, twice in a week, and neither one, like, you're like, whoa, what happened here? So many thoughts going through my mind. I'm going to get through the wedding before I give my thoughts, because the second one is like really made me question life itself. So yeah, the reception was obviously awesome. I put on some serious dance moves. I busted several moves. The 369 Little John from the window to the wall. That dance is my go-to, and I broke it out, and it brought the house down. So the reception was great as always. I thought the food was good, and it was good. It was good. I had a great time. I had a lovely time, wonderful time. And we ended up going to a bar down the street so we take the bus back. We go to a bar down the street for some more drinks. People were like, we should change. And I'm like, are you kidding me? We roll in there with suits coming from a wedding. It's our golden ticket to like free drinks, to free conversation. Like that's our icebreaker. People are like, all right. So that some people changed, some people didn't. And then, I was one of the probably only a-holes wearing a suit still. And of course, everyone was like, we got to keep the party going. And it was 2 a.m. And I was like, my initial plan was to go to a wedding, drive to a wedding in Charlottesville. I can't say Charlottesville, Virginia, and then wake up in time to drive to either Connecticut or Rhode Island to catch the ferry to Block Island. Take a wild gander, a guess, if you will, educated preferably, at how long that drive would take. Because Waze and Google Maps told me a good 9 to 10 hours. And I want to say that's without the inevitable several million car crashes and construction sites along the way. So that's another probably 2 hours. So in order to catch the very last ferry, which I guess was at either 7 or 8, I would have to leave at 8 a.m. Did I leave at 8 a.m? Hell no, dude. I woke up an hour before checkout at 10, and I was just like, valiant effort on my part, I guess, but that's not going to happen. So I end up checking out, and I'm starving. So I dropped my suit off at the CVS down the street, because that was another thing that was concerning me. I was like, well, I have this wedding, but then I'm immediately going to Rhode Island. I'm going to an island that doesn't have mail service or UPS or anything. It's completely disconnected from the world, which is a major reason why my friends set up shop there. I get it, but it's also a little bit inconvenient. Like if you want a doctor or nurse, they have to come on the ferry to the island. Like there's not a whole lot of things on the island other than beach, bars, and restaurants and mopeds. So I drop my suit. I find a CVS. It's open. It's Sunday. I was like, thank the Lord. Thanks be to God, our Lord. Amen. And drop off the suit. Go to, I want to say this place, this is like it's not a one-off. It's a chain, which I think was stupid on my part. Mellow Mushroom. Oh my God. I've been calling it Magic Mushroom for like the past week. Mellow Mushroom, which is essentially a college restaurant staple. I want to say they have to have so many across the country that are just like by college campuses. So I went to the Mellow Mushroom down the street, which I think a lot of people would be like, hey, you're bonehead. You had an opportunity to eat at a one-off type local mom and pop restaurant in Charlottesville that's highly regarded, critically acclaimed, and you went to the Mellow Mushroom. What's wrong, boy? I don't know. Sorry. It was easy. It was right there. It was right next door. I ended up getting the Great White Pizza and Cloud9 wings. Now, did I stay at the restaurant and eat at the restaurant? No. I brought it to my car. I get my car. I start the car. I drive the car. I eat while I drive. Now, I'm wondering if I can be arrested for that. I guess if I got into a very bad accident or vehicular manslaughter and I'm confessing this, that's jail time for sure. But nothing bad happened, so I think I'm in the clear. But if you are a police officer, an officer of the law, or if you are a rat or a Karen who's going to snitch, I say this to you, don't. I was so hungry. I ate the entire pizza on the drive back, ate the entire pizza, and I ate most of the wings while driving. And when I stopped to get gas and take a little wee-wee. I had blue cheese, ranch, and cheese, like white cheese. I had everything on the all over my shirt and my shorts. Yeah, it was not my best luck, not my best moment, but out of all the moments I've had, probably it's middle of the pack. Let's be honest. It's not even the worst of the worst. I ended up getting home at like, so yeah, when I had to get out to go take a wee wee, I had a number one. It was at a Wegmans, and the parking lot was just about full. So I had to park so far away from the Wegmans and walk that entire length of that parking lot in the heat with stains all over the front of me while people are just trying to buy their groceries for the week. And then they see me roll in with my with my with my smudged glasses because I didn't feel like putting in contacts. Because somehow psychologically, I feel like when I'm really hungover and I'm wearing glasses, it's not as bad. Like people don't judge me as bad. They're like, there's a smart guy. He's just trying to figure things out. That's why I wear glasses when I'm hungover, because it's like, oh, you're a reader, huh? You're a scholar. All right. Scholars can't be hungover. So yeah, that was a wee bit embarrassing, but I was like, you know what? Not a whole lot's phasing me this, I think I would have, we'll get into it. So I got home around 5 and ended up watching Rick and Morty, and then Silo, finished up Silo. If you're not watching Silo on Apple TV, what you doing? Get on it. So good. Rebecca Ferguson, Tim Robbins, Common. Yeah, and the ending, spoiler alert, sort of spoiler alert, beautiful way to end season 1 and to set up season 2. So I don't know if that's really a spoiler alert, but they really set up I'm like dying to season 2 already. It's like, oh, I'm gonna wait like what 2-3 years now, because that's like the production cycle for this type of shit. Cool. And the writer's strike, cool. So we'll get season 2 in 2027. Cool. And then I think I might have watched Always Sunny and then Secret Invasion. The Always Sunny was Celebrity Booze with the Breaking Bad guys, Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul. Wow, I actually remembered his name this time. And then Secret Invasion, which I guess no one is watching, but is a pretty decent show. I don't know why people aren't watching. I don't know. Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Don Cheadle, Olivia Colman, Amelia Clark. Like it's a pretty who's who hitters row of a cast. Writing's pretty good. Action's pretty good. Special effects are all right, I guess. But it does feel like they might have skimped on the budget. I don't know what the budget is for it. I'm assuming it is pretty high for a TV series. But it's like there are certain sequences, scenes, and moments where it's like, if this were bigger budget, that would have been awesome. But since they don't have the budget, it just lacks oomph, I guess. It's just not quite getting the kind of emotional reaction I would have thought if you had just told it to me. Like, they're going to shoot a nuke at a plane overhead. And it's like, what? How are they going to stop that? It just feels like it's just not hitting. I'll keep watching though. So Sunday, I took it easy. As soon as I got home, I closed my blackout curtains. I got pretty much naked, ate the rest of my wings, and just kept eating until I just passed out. I fell asleep. Woke up around 8 or 7 the next day to drive to the ferry. The ferry in Connecticut I wasn't going to make. So I had to drive all the way to the Point Judith and Narragansett to catch the Block Island ferry. I get there and the usual parking lots that I park at are completely full. I pull into the one I usually go to, and the guy, there's like a teenage kid hanging out. I can't tell if he works. I slowed down and he started approaching. I'm like, okay, I'm either going to get solicited, mugged, or like I'm going to get some key information. He said, so we're pretty much full or at capacity, but we for today only, we're charging $45 just for today. And usually it's like 10, 15 a day. So to charge 45 for the day, it's like, okay, I guess that's you telling me to like piss off. Message received. So I try to go to the very next one, and they have the cones up with the sign like lot full. So now I'm starting to panic because it's like I'm trying to catch the 120 high speed. It's 105. So now I got to do a loop around, and I go to this parking lot that I've never been to before. It's like all in gravel that looks pretty unofficial and like kind of sketchy. And I pull in, and you have to pay by phone. And I was like, I now love this parking lot. Like, thank you. But of course, my luck would have been that there's no reception, because there is no reception in places like that. And I wouldn't be able to actually load the page to pay, and then I'd be like, miss my ferry. Luckily, it all worked out. I was able to pay and get there. Had my friends pick me up. We went straight to the beach. Hung out at the beach for a little bit. My buddy had to work, so I took his Jeep to pick up another friend that was coming in on the ferry. Drove from the beach all the way to the ferry, picked up my friend, then had to pick up another friend who was at another bar. Realized about halfway to the other friend, picking up the other friend, that the parking brake was on. Parking brake on. Parking brake on. So I probably messed up their car pretty bad. But the car, by all accounts, from what I've heard, was already pretty messed up. I mean, by the time we left the island, they couldn't drive it anymore. Like, they had to take it to a mechanic, and he can't work on it because he doesn't have the parts, because it's on an island. Island life is great until you actually have to get stuff done. So, but I don't know if that's my fault. Am I the a-hole for not even checking that the parking brake is on when you're parking on a flat surface? Like, that was a flat road. If it's San Francisco, if it's a hill, like the hill by my grandmother's old house, yeah, throw that parking brake on. Throw the bad boy on. I get it. A flat road surface, you're going to throw on the parking brake? Why would I think to even look at the fucking parking brake? So yeah, that's on me. And would you believe me if I said that's not the first time that's happened? That in college, I drove my buddy's car for way longer than I did this car with the parking brake on. And it was only when I smelled smoke that I realized, oh, parking brake's on. Again, there was no mountain, there's no hill, there's no incline. Why did he have the parking brake on in a parking lot with a flat surface? I don't know. So pick up my other buddy. We go back to the beach for a little, come back to the house, hang out at the fire pit, shower, get dressed. We go to a place where my buddy's sister works. She was able to secure us a table. She waited on us. It was very nice to have her waiting on us because we were already pretty rowdy, out of hand. She is a wealth of quotes, though. And we, as her elders, made sure to remind her of the quotes throughout the week. Just like one point she said, I have a lot of money. And so that eventually became, I have all the money. Threw that in her face a couple times, but she's 20. We know not what we say at age 20, right? I mean, good God. I mean, I had a buddy that it was like we had a whole wall. I mean, who didn't have a quote wall in college on the wall with all the quotes that came out of our mouths and on our faces? And that carried on to the shore house. There's a quote wall. And then, for the first 4 or 5 years of the college, there's a quote wall. I wish we started a quote wall at this house because she had a plethora, a wealth. But we had some margaritas, some wings, some little necks, asparagus, calamari. I had the grilled swordfish, although it was hard not to order something called the Southwest Coffee Rub New York Sirloin, which is not pronounced sirloin, it's sirloin. How do I not order that? But I'm thinking, I'm on an island. I got all this fresh seafood at my disposal. Gotta go seafood. But man, that was tempting. Southwest Coffee Rubbed New York Sirloin. And then whitefish, plain and simple, was another item. I like how straightforward that is. Thank you for being honest. And then something called bouillabaisse. bouillabaisse, which was just like a cornucopia of seafood. The night is young, but we're not. So we went to a place called Kittens. I think it was probably, I want to say 9 at this point. It's before 10, it's before 11. My buddy was like, hey, this tends to pick up around 11:30. That's when everyone gets to this bar. At 11:30, it will be packed and wild. And I was like, all right, so we'll go before the mad rush and we'll hang out. And so we're hanging out and it's like, pretty empty. But it's starting to pick up, We're getting more and more people in. And we're about to leave, and these women walked in, and I was like, you know what? Sick of being a spectator. Sick of watching from the sidelines. I need to get involved. I need to get in the mix. I need to seize the day. I need to carpe that mother effing diem. So I was like, and I think my buddy was like, you want to talk to them? And I was like, all right, fine. Let's just do it. I mean, I'm already so deep in terms of saturation level from alcohol that it's like nothing can faze me at this point. So I do stroll up and I say to this lady, we were about to leave and then you walked in and now we can't leave. Thank you for trapping us here. She was like, you're welcome. And I was like, I wasn't expecting that response. And then her boyfriend walked up and I literally moonwalked away from her. Moonwalked. But I'm proud of myself for just putting myself out there. just try. Can you try? Nothing will happen unless you try. So I tried. So we left there to go to Nick's because our buddy's sister, who was the waitress at Kimberly's, is also a bouncer somehow at Nick's, this other bar that's like diagonal from where she waitresses at Kimberly's. So we're walking to Nick's, and the line, because it was disco night, and apparently disco night is all the rage. Okay. The line's down the street, which is, there's no other place that has a line down the street. There's no other place that has a line, really. So we immediately, we were about face when I see an elder woman, completely head to toe decked out in American gala garb, just stars and stripes all over, with like the headband with the antenna, that bouncy with the stars. And I was just like, okay. And she looked lost. So of course my buddy's like, hey, why don't you help her out? It's amazing that at 42, that still works on me. You'd think I would have learned my lesson that like, hey, why don't you, hey, Neil, you won't. You throw that at me and I've tossed a few back. I will oblige. So I run across the street to help this woman find Nick's to disco night, to wait in line for 5 hours. I helped her out. And it felt good. It felt like a good Samaritan. So we went back to Kittens. They wouldn't let us in initially, but luckily we were able to talk them through it and we showed them the stamps that we had. I haven't had a stamp on my hand in a good decade, so that felt good to see that back on the old back of the hand. There was a live music band, and so me and my buddy tried to get involved, get on the dance floor a little bit. It was all dudes, no big deal. Went to get another drink, and my other buddy had that look on his face that I know all too well, where it's like, yeah, it looks like he's at capacity. We're maxing out at this point where the engine is overheating, if you will, because he's looking around and it just looks like, all right, he wants to fight everyone in this bar. And that's when I looked at him and he looked at me and he goes, I think we should leave. And I'm like, yeah, that's a good move. So we ended up going back to the house. Our younger friend stayed out because he's in his early 20s, and that's what he does. We ended up playing darts and then hanging out at the fire pit. That would be a common theme throughout the week. And I got to say, how am I not better at darts? How am I not better at darts? It's crazy. I need to be better at darts. And I need to get a dartboard ASAP. We have the chintzy, crappy plastic dashboard that I won at a carnival that doesn't work because it's plastic. and trying to throw a plastic dart into a plastic dart board is grounds for dismissal. So I woke up on the 4th of July feeling very American. I had ordered a shirt from Barstool Sports. It was, I guess it's technically the Bussin' with the Boys brand. It's that red, white, and blue tie-dye shirt that has a picture of an eagle's face, a cartoon eagle, picture of his head with some like Macho Man stunner shades and a mullet. And it's like, you don't get any more American than that. So I threw that on along with my red, white, and blue swimsuit. And that's when we realized that, or we were told by our host and hostess that 4th of July on block is no joke. And we probably should stay here because it's going to get nutso, like beyond nutso to the point where it like not fun nuts, just like you might get stabbed nuts. So let's just chill here in the backyard, which I've told you guys before about this. The backyard is just like huge, so big. It's a football field. And so we ended up playing a little bush lit. It's the wiffle ball game that we love so much. We played maybe 3 rounds, and that was good enough to get me off the ground. It's just like, I can't imagine playing a full 9 innings, quote unquote. We played like 3 innings, and it was we were good to go. And then we played another game called Beer Die, and I think I went over Beer Die last year. But Beer Die, we made a joke that there's only one rule because there are a million rules with Beer Die. And my younger friend, who's just out of college, basically my son, could be my son, loves to unfurl the rules. Roll out the rules as the game goes on. So the game has started. He'll start you off with like a couple rules here and there. He doesn't want to overwhelm you. And then as things happen, he'll introduce the rule. Yes, I forgot. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah. Well, so that's always good to see because I'm familiar with the rules now. I'm pretty familiar with the rules. But the people we were playing against are 2 friends who are my age who have never played Beer Die before. And the results were outstanding. Like they just loved the fact that there were a million rules, and they would just keep reminding my younger friend, like, oh yeah, there's just one rule. I'd like to say this. We were down. It was a best of 7 series. We started around 2 p.m. in the afternoon, finished up around 7 p.m. That's 5 solid hours of Beer Die. In those 5 hours, playing 7 games. Best of 7, we went to game 7. And we were down 3-1 at one point, and we tied it up 3-3 to force game 7. Neck and neck in game 7, and then they went on a 5-0 run towards the end and won 21-15. Literally, it could have been the greatest comeback in Bear Die history. We're talking about Red Sox Yankees 2004 ALCS. Very proud of that achievement. Of course, you wouldn't hear that from the gracious winners, who kept on rubbing in our face the rest of the week that they beat us at a game that my friend was supposed to be like a master of, and claiming that they would have swept us and won every game if not for us getting the die in the cup, which is the whole purpose of the game, to get the die in the cup. But regardless, yes, we were losing. We were down every game that we won. We officially would have lost if we didn't get the die in the cup, but we got the die in the cup. So you talk to them, they're going to say they demolished us and crushed us. And it's like, you look at the records and it's like, I don't know. We almost pulled off the upset. I am very curious to know what the results would have been. I mean, they would not have accepted defeat. I know that much. It would have been under protest. There would have been asterisks. There would have been an appeal in appeals court. They would never have acknowledged that we won the series. Or they would have said, well, you won, but you're not the better team. It's like, okay. Somewhere in there, we had burgers and dogs. How can you not on the 4th of July? I showered and got dressed. I think we had a home-cooked meal. That one's a tough one. Don't necessarily remember all. I think it was salmon. Can't be too sure. It was good salmon, though. I remember the salmon being good. Wednesday the 5th, I had to work. I had to friggin' work, and I was so still hungover / drunk. I had to do a monthly report. I had to do a quarterly report. I had to do so many reports with so many bar graphs. It got to the point where I was like, I don't even think these bar graphs don't even mean anything anymore. Like, what are they even saying? What is the purpose of these bar graphs? Like, it got super existential for me towards the latter part of the week, where it's just like all these numbers and colors and words. What do they mean? I don't even know what they mean anymore. It literally took me like an hour to like look through everything and be like, and then this is my insight, which is so painfully obvious. Duh. Okay, cool. So here's where we get into interesting developments. And I've been going back and forth in my mind whether or not to talk about this. I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about the wedding and being set up there. I was being set up and match made. There was a matchmaking situation for Block Island. And this one I was not excited or pumped about, because I was like, this is the same. I mentioned it back in November in one of those episodes where I was like, hypothetically speaking, my buddy, if you should not, don't hype it up. And I guess that's the gist. That's the takeaway of everything that I'm saying tonight is like with the matchmaking thing. We're at the age now where the matchmaking thing is simply a numbers game, right? Like when you're in your high school, college, right out of college, maybe early 30s, mid 30s, as you progress into your mid to late 30s, into your early 40s, it's not like, oh, oh my God, it's so weird. You like this. And I know a guy who likes this, and you're single and he's single, and you guys have so much in common. And like this makes sense. Once you get to your late 30s, early 40s, it's just like, oh, you're single? Oh, that person's single. You guys should hook up. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you guys have anything in common. I don't even think you're his type. I don't think he's your type. You probably won't get along, but you're single and he's single. So let's make it happen. Yeah. I've been thinking about this a lot. There are some pros and cons, right? I think my mind initially went to the negative, but there is positives that I can pull from all this matchmaking and setting up that's going on. First of all, I mentioned it. My buddy's wife hypes up this kind of stuff and says, "Oh, this person wants to do kiss, and this person's this," and really hypes it up to the point where it's like I can't help but like get infected. You know what I mean? And like have the hype overwhelm me and overtake me and infect me to the point where my anticipation grows and my expectations get wildly out of control. And then of course nothing happens. Nothing happens. Why would it happen? Of course it's not going to happen. So shame on me, obviously, for even believing this might work out for even a heartbeat. I went into this expecting, okay, for sure not going to work out. Like there's a 10% chance, maybe 15%. Like, whereas I think before in my early 30s, 20s, I'd have been like frothing. I would have been a mad dog. Like, okay, like way too intense about it. Like it's going to happen. It's got to happen. And maybe it would have happened. I don't know. But I went into this like, it's probably not going to happen. Like lowered expectations. So, we had two women arrive. One, a friend that I know. One is the friend of the friend. They arrive. And the moment I saw her, I was like, nope. And that's not a knock on her. It's not. I know it sounds like it is. But here are the pros and cons. The pros are, hey, my friends are thinking of me, for me. They want me to meet someone. And that's a good feeling. And they think I'm worthy enough to introduce me to someone. They think I am worth setting up and matching up with someone. They still care. That's great. That is the one positive that I'm taking away from this. That being said, Jesus Christ. Has anyone been set up or had matchmaking go on? Anyone? Does it ever work out? I don't know. Does it ever work out? I just feel like it does. I'm sure this has happened to some people where it's like, wait, why did my friends think that would work? Why would they think that? What was the thought process there? Like, is this a reflection of me? Do they think that I would like someone like that? Like, what? It honestly, I snowballed a little bit. I did snowball a little bit. I spiraled a little bit. I was like, what? I I almost equated it to Shallow Hal, where it's like, maybe I'm not seeing who I really am, you know? And maybe this, I need to snap out of it and have a real hard look at myself in the mirror. I got really, I got really in my own head. And I was just like, whoa, what? Is this how my friends see me? Is this like, or like, what is going on with these events and these, what's happening? Like, I brought this on myself, and like, is it because of how I've acted? Is it because of, do I have a overinflated sense of self? Yes. I think that's pretty obvious. The fact that I started a podcast when I have no right to. So, yeah, I'm an overthinker. I overthink things. And it's like, when I, if someone's interested in me, it's like, I've already started planning the wedding. Like, it just gets way too out of control. Like, hey, just one step at a time. You put one foot in front of the other. Okay. Let's not like go all the way down there. Not necessary. Live in the moment, be present, and let's just have a good time, have fun while it lasts. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do it. And I didn't want to fake the funk on a nasty dunk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't want to fake it. I didn't want to try and force myself to invest emotionally when I was just not there. And it's not on them, and it's not on anyone, really. But my God, twice in a week, you get set up. And I mean, that's how my mom and my dad met. They got set up on a blind date. So-and-so knew my mom, also knew my dad. They're like, hey, you two get together. Of course, they were in their mid to early 20s, early 20s. So again, it's different getting set up in your 20s, I think, versus getting set up in your late 30s, early 40s. I have nothing. I hope I'm not. I mean, I know I'm coming across a certain way, and I apologize. But I told my one friend on the beach, I was like, please don't try and set me up with anyone. Please don't. Just don't, like, even if you meet like like who you think is absolutely perfect, sure thing, guarantee, don't tell me. Just somehow secretly manipulate us into meeting. Don't tell me about it. Don't tell her about it. Just somehow get us together without making that known that we're supposed to be matched, set up. Like, I prefer that. It's just, it's a lot. And you want to take your friends aside and be like, wait, really? Why did you really, like, am I, what, can you describe me? Who do you think I am? You are. Like, it got really just so maniacally out of hand. But yeah, so it devolved from there, I guess you could say. It just devolved. I mean, I love Block Island. I love going there. Well, I don't like going there. I like being there. I mean, the drive it's like, can be 4.5 hours or it can be 6 hours. And it's another hour or half an hour on the ferry. And then it's like, and everything is so goddamn expensive. But I do have a lot of fun. It's just, I can't afford it. I don't know how anyone can. A sandwich is like $30. What are we doing? There was some high school shenanigans that went down during this week. I don't want to get into it. I wish I had a Patreon or something set up where maybe you could pay and I'd unlock that story, because I think it's wild. It's insane. But it altered the week substantially, significantly, where things were like everyone's, buzzing, feeling it, good vibes. This high school thing happens, high school level type behavior happened. And then it just complete 180. It was just like, oh, you guys are having seltzers at a dock bar. Okay. We messed up. We messed up big time. Yeah. So, but the dock bars were great. I mean, it wasn't as wild as it usually was. Like Champlin's, we went to the Champlin's dock bar. And like last year there were bachelorette parties all over the place. There was a woman who's literally was just like had her butt cheeks out, like was wearing jean shorts. You could just fully see her butt cheeks. To this day, I'm still shattered by that sight. Just like impressed. And I think that's what motivated me to get out of my rut, as far as like, I'm never going to date again. I'm never going to get married again. I'm never going to fall in love again. I'm never going to meet anyone again, to like, all right, I gotta get off the bench. I gotta get in the mix. So from Champlin's, we had the mudslide. We had dinner at the Oar. We had mudslides at the Oar. I friggin' love mudslides. It's just, man, that is a level of sugar that I'm trying not to do anymore. And that my body's like, no, you're gonna balloon, bruh. So we ended up walking, even the Oar too. Like the Oar last year, we went for Christmas in July, and we got a lot of chants started, a lot of claps, a lot of collective clapping and chants, which is always good. And I think we tried to do it this go around, and it worked the first time. And then it was people were like, all right, there's children over there. They can't be subjected to chants. So, dinner was still great. Champlin's banana mudslide, very tame. I ended up FaceTiming my daughter, and the reception stunk, but she was having a blast with her mom down at Point Pleasant, block down from Jenks at the Blue House. And then we hoofed it over to Payne's, another dock bar. I had a drink called the Colorado's First Day. So good. Ghost pepper tequila with vodka. I got to look this up. Oh, shit. I don't even think this, I don't even think you can find it online. Damn. But it's ghost pepper tequila with a little bit of vodka. And then I want to say like club soda and a splash of lime. So good. It's just got a little bit of heat. You see ghost pepper and you're like, that shit's going to be way too hot, way too spicy. I can't have my esophagus eroding on this dock from all these boat owners. So that was good. Went back home for dinner, had some linguine with clams. I mean, these people, the host and the hostess, they make the best food. They make the best drinks. It's just such a bitch to get to. It's just like literally, it works when you're there for a long time. It's like, I don't mind it at all. Like, okay, I'll spend half a day getting there and then half a day getting back, when I can spend 5 to 6 days there. But you want me to come for the weekend and I can't take off work anymore. So that means I have to, I'm going to like travel a full day to be there a day. Huh? It's just kind of, yeah. I ended up, it seemed like everyone was working out and I wasn't. So I decided to go for a run on that Saturday. And I did all right. Like they live on a road called Pilot Hill Road. So the hill is right there in the name. So I should have known better. But I ran down to the ferry, which is down the hill. And I was like, oh, easy peasy cover girl. And then I had to stop at the main street because there's too many people. So I ended up walking through. There was a guy who was saying something like, bikes, mopeds for rent. I'm not a crook. I was like, did Richard Nixon come back from the dead and is now renting mopeds on Block Island? Sweet. And then I ended up kind of walking back up the hill. It was rough. Where it's like it looks like I'm running, but it looks like I'm running in place. Like maybe there's a treadmill, that kind of level. And I got back and people were like, "Are you okay?" Like, and it's like, "Oh, I thought I was just winded, but apparently need an ambulance." Cool. And then that last night we went to the Atlantic Inn. What a shit show that was. It's like such a nice place. And I feel like I'm under a microscope, especially when I roll up, being such a middle class son of a bitch. And we got a little out of hand. But I mean, I have the receipt here. Let's not talk about the drinks. Clam chowder, foie gras, orange shrimp, scallop crudeau, ribeyes, halibut, scallops, cake bread Chardonnay, Jordan 2016, and the kicker, the finish off the night, Fowlers. If you hadn't had Fowlers, I think I've mentioned it before. It's basically coffee and booze. It comes in a big ass glass, so good, and it'll get you through the night. You will take flight. So throughout the week, though, my one buddy from Florida, Ball Game, we call him, he ended up buying a book written by a former teammate called Day One, and one is spelled W-O-N, and it's essentially just a book of motivational speeches, excerpts. Like, I think each page has a motivational thought or philosophy, one of which is be a bridge. And I should really have the book on me. I really should have taken the book and read it to you. And hopefully I will get a copy and read some of this stuff to you, because it truly will change your life. Be a bridge was one of the selections that says, when you think about building a bridge, you think about rigidity, but those bridges collapse. And the structurally sound bridges that last the longest time are actually flexible. They sway in the wind, and they move, and they're fluid. Be a bridge. People are people. We all have titles. We all have a status in life. But when you walk into a room to give a speech to the executive vice president, the senior vice president, the president, CEO, strip away those titles and realize that they're just people. Stop wallowing. Stop wondering. Start working. This is the kind of stuff we would read. We would do readings. Each person would do a reading, pass the book to your right, do a reading, pass the book. And I felt better. And I feel better now having done so. Day one. What was another one? A little mystery is okay. Who knew? A little mystery is okay. You don't want to reveal all. A little mystery is okay. Have that humble hunger was another section, another chapter. And pressure is trust. The pressure that people put on you is the level of trust that they have in you. They apply that pressure because they have trust that you will do and complete what they putting the pressure on for. Very interesting. Pressure is trust. Be a bridge. Little mystery is okay. People are people. Boom. So I that was fun. And then we'd sit by the fire pit and we'd talk about how Major League Baseball is just so insane, so stupid. I think I mentioned this before, but so I had YouTube TV. They dropped SNY, or they were dropping SNY on July 1st, which means I had to scramble to cancel YouTube TV and then pick up another service because I would prefer to keep watching the Mets, even though I probably shouldn't. A lot of people are saying their season is over. And so I ended up getting into an argument and a fight with Verizon because they didn't know I couldn't remove the Hulu bundle there because I cannot upgrade from the Hulu plus Disney plus ESPN plus bundle to the Hulu plus live TV plus Disney plus Eastbound plus through Verizon. So I need to cancel it. I couldn't cancel it. Talked to 2 or 3 different people. They didn't know how to do it. Oh my God. Oh my God. Amazon doesn't know how to deliver a package to me. Why? How's that possible? You're a billion trillion dollar company. You can't figure, like Uber has figured it out. You're able to drop a pin. Hey, this is exactly where I am. Why can't you do that with Amazon? I can't tell you the success rate on my Amazon packages. It has to be below 50%. And I had several things that I absolutely needed before all this trip went down, and they couldn't figure it out. And I was like, I'm going to cancel. I'm going to cancel my Amazon account. I know I've said it before, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to cancel it. So I somehow was able to work all that crap out and then sign up for Hulu Plus Live TV. But here's the thing. I wish I didn't have to pay $80 a month for a service where I just watch the Mets. YouTube TV, Hulu Plus Live TV. I don't really watch anything else except the Mets on SNY. My mother lives in South Carolina. She is a 5-hour drive to Atlanta, 300 plus miles away. She is blacked out from all home games on MLB TV. What are we doing? So I used to think that the purpose of the blackout was like, well, we're going to force you to go to the game. We're not broadcasting it. We're not televising it because we need you to go to the game. The expectation is for my 72, 73, 75, holy shit, 75-year-old or 74-year-old mother to take her handicapped booty in her minivan, which honestly, I'm going to say it, I don't think my mom should drive anymore. 5 hours a night, 80 nights out of a year to go to the Braves games. That's the goal there. And I pitched that to my buddy. I was like, what are we doing? Why? Is that really the purpose? And he goes, well, they must be doing something right because they keep doing it. And I'm like, or they're doing something wrong and they're killing the game. Right? I know. I'm wrong. I'm the idiot. I get it. What I understand is why if it's 162 games a year and you charge me $1 a game to watch, or maybe even $5, I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. Especially since SNY is now going the route of MSG and Yes, meaning that they just are dropping streamers left and right. Like MSG, yes, they kind of pulled out way early. I think it was last year or the year before from YouTube TV and all the other streamers, except maybe Fubo and DirecTV. And now SNY is following suit. And it's like, I don't want to pay for cable. I don't want to pay $200 a month just to see one television station. What are we doing? And then if I sign up for MLB TV, I can't watch it because it's in market. Even though it legitimately could take me up to 3 hours to get to Flushing from New Jersey, which is out of control. What I understand is like NFL, Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC. Those are all readily available pretty much everywhere, even on streamers. NFL is the most popular sport, at least in America. Why can't basketball, hockey, and baseball follow suit to some degree? And my buddies were like, well, they're not going for the casual fan. They know that people will pay for it and people are paying for it. So they're going to keep doing it. It's like, all right. I guess, I don't know. So kind of, I think my friends were like, shut the fuck up after a little while. Cause I was just I get in these zones where I get so adamant. Like I really thought in my head that my one friend had tried to set me up, claimed that she tried to set me up with another friend. And I said no. And I'm telling you this, there's no way I would have said no. There's no way I would have said no. She wore this dress. I can't get into it. This is a family show, you know, I can't get into it, but she wore this dress. My God, dude. I know. I need to be, I know, but goddamn, I still got blood coursing through these veins. All right. There's still life in this body. All right. I got eyes and they work. I'm sorry. But somehow, and that's why I think I'm going nuts. Because like I could have sworn that this woman claims that she tried to set me up with this other woman. And then I said no. Even though I don't remember me saying no. And now it appears that she never even tried to set me up with the woman. So like it's a real like Shutter Island type situation. Name a movie where it's like you think this is reality for the entire movie until the twist happens. And that was the twist for me in my movie. It was just like, wait a second, what? And then to have that happen where it's like, nope, she never did that, to holy shit, like I'm being set up by my friends, but this is who they're they're setting me up with these people. It's like I said, shallow hell. It just feels like shallow hell to some degree, where it's like I'm living a lie. Like I'm like all of a sudden someone's gonna like snap their fingers and I'm gonna wake up and it's like I'm gonna see actual reality. Very Silo-esque. You gotta watch Silo. You get the reference. Yeah. So on the way home, I did. I stopped for gas and food. I got 3 bags of Quest protein chips, a protein bar, and a protein drink. So stupid. And I'll finish off by just a real quick thing about Bree's summer camp. So my daughter has a summer camp, quote unquote, where it's basically she goes to the same daycare center school where she graduated from. And they do they have an unreal schedule where it's like Sesame Place every Monday, an aquatic center every Thursday, the zoo, a battleship, the museum. It's like every day is a field trip somewhere, 5 days a week for the entire summer. And I, at first blush, I was like, oh, that's sweet. That's awesome. I'm so happy for her. The fact that she's able to do all that and be so active. And on the plus side, she'll be so tired that when she gets home, she'll actually want to go to sleep, or she can't help but go to sleep because she's so tired. And then I got hit with all the crap that I had to prepare and package and present and do and to actually have her go on these field trips every friggin' day. Holy, my guy. What? Towel, water shoes, which the water shoes I presented were not up to code, apparently. Crazy. Change of clothes, a disposable water bottle, a disposable water bottle holder, which I didn't know existed. It's just a koozie, but I guess you can't call it a koozie because they're under 18. I don't know. A brown bag lunch. So I can't send a normal lunch bag with the normal things in it. It has to be a brown bag lunch. So, when they're out in the field, they can just toss it. I get it. The camp shirt, the swim shirt. It's just, summer's supposed to be chill, dude. Right? I think summer's supposed to be chill. This is not chill. This is very unchill. What I have to do to just make sure that my daughter is able to go on these field trips. It causes an unbelievable amount of stress because it's like, I don't want her to get punished for my stupidity, my negligence, my forgetfulness, my ignorance. Like, I don't want her to get punished for that. But that's, so I literally wake up, I stay up at night, break out in the meat sweats just because I'm thinking about everything that I have to do to make sure that she's able to go on this field trip and have the time of her goddamn life. I know they're doing this to us, so we make it easier on them, but like we're paying them, right? We're paying them. Doesn't that mean I don't know. And we're also paying for the camp. Like it's a lot. It's a lot. So, and this episode has been a lot. I apologize. There was a lot I had to catch up on. There's a lot going down, and I probably missed a shit ton of stuff. So if you listen to this and you're like, you forgot the XYZ, hit me up with that XYZ, dude, and we'll do a little last looks, errors and omissions, corrections, and all that jazz. I'll be down in South Carolina for the next week, so you're not going to get an episode next week. I don't think. Probably not. So it'll probably be the week after that. So I'm going to have to catch you up on all that jazz. I'm going to have to work all week. But it's been in the hundreds. It's also been raining. The septic tank has been backing up, so no one can pee in the toilet. Holy moly. It's going to be straight chaos. And my daughter's going to love it, every second of it. So we'll talk to you again. Just not that soon. All right? So don't hold your breath. Until next time. Adios, muchachos.